Welcome back to another Meet Your Maker. Today we're really pleased to have Stephen, the mind behind the inventions coming out of Kraford and Lypt, visiting us today. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, thanks Travis. It's always good to stop by Utah, and even better to stop by Airgun Depot.
Now this is my competition gun out here. This is the gun I've been shooting, and I've been using a few of your aftermarket accessories here. We've got, the extended trigger guard here with the rail extender, and the KLS-1 buttstock. Why don't you tell us a little bit about these?
So each of these parts are packed with a bunch of features. I suppose we can start from the back. Got the KLS-1. It's a highly adjustable stock.
And I had it adjusted to perfection, actually.
He had it here
perfectly, and you've changed all those adjustments.
Yes.
So I've got to go do that again. But he's going to show you how easy it is to do.
Very easy to adjust. You've got to carry around a little Allen key, but once you get it in place, you're usually going to leave it there. So you have your cants up and down. You have even more travel up and down here. You can pull it out, and then
because that's one complaint that I have, that I hear with the Impact is that, the length of pull from here, from the trigger to here is pretty short.
It's very short, and it's instead of molding your body to the rifle with these parts, you can now mold the rifle to you, and the ergonomics just it totally changes the rifle and the feel and your accuracy, and just your cheek wheel, everything is going to completely become a lot more consistent and change the gun for the better.
Especially for bench shooting, right? Yeah. I mean, if you're shooting offhand, you can kind of snug it up here, but when you're on the bench, this really gives you that extra room to get settled into the gun properly.
Definitely, yeah. So the rods that they're going to come with stock will not hit the extended mag on the Mark II rifles. It'll go right up against it, but generally people are going to have it somewhere around here, and that's usually where it sits. The next big thing is the monopod. There's two different ways to adjust it. You have the fast adjustment, and then there's fine threaded adjustments. And that kind of really helps you dial in your reticle that you can't do with fast adjustment.
And that's vital, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, because when you're sitting at the bench, I mean, everything's settled in, and then that's when you've got to twist that to get the crosshairs just perfectly. Which with the big adjustment, holding it like that, you can't. But you can just sit there and fiddle with that and get it right on, just twisting it.
There's some monopods out there that I'm sure you've seen where it's either the fast adjustment with a sliding rod, or it's just 10 feet of threads that you have to sit there and thread, and then you want to put the gun away, you got to sit there and thread it back. So this really kind of gives you the best of both worlds, and makes it really easy to put the gun where you want it. So yeah, that's the KLS-1. And I've gotten this question before a couple times. It is the whole entire part here. So that will slide in here and replace the OEM part. And then this goes like that. So.
And you touched on this, but one of the things I really like about the adjustability that you have this way, which one did you tighten up that one? Is I like to have a bit of, does it cast off that way? And then when you bring the gun up into your shoulder, it brings the cheek right under you. And so it pulls it in closer, so you're not having to move your head over. You just put your head down, and it's right there. I mean, that is something that's overlooked a lot, but really, really helpful when you've got it.
And that was really important in designing it, to make sure that if we're going to make a stock, it's going to have all the adjustability features on it, instead of having to stack things on and stuff. So yeah, that was something very important that had to be included.
Now, the extended trigger guard is something that I was astonished to see on a ton of rifles. when big shooting competitions, everybody's running this.
Yeah, so this is the first part that I made, and it was mainly because of my frustration with the small hole, which made it almost impossible on the first generation to pull out the Foster fitting when you're filling it. So you can see there's a bigger hole, you can get your thumb in there, and you don't have to, sometimes I would even have to take off the OEM part in order to fill the rifle. So that was the first feature that I kind of put on there. And then there's a cap that fits
now
flush.
That is the slickest thing on this gun.
Yeah.
If there were one thing I wouldn't want to give up, it would be this. I mean, look at that. You just pop that thing off, magnet knocks flush. I mean, that's just a beautiful little piece of engineering.
And it really is going to sit in there. You can't.
Oh yeah,
it doesn't come
they never
out.
come off.
So that was my frustration with the original gun and what I kind of wanted to put into the rifle, into the guard. And then I started thinking, oh, push it out a little bit. You definitely need that stability, and that's the big draw to the extended guard, because the further you push the bipod out, the more stable your shot is going to be, whether you're shooting bench rest or prone. It really helps out.
And it's really an angular thing, right? I mean, the farther your bipod out, the farther your pivot point is out, the less movement you get from any variations in the back here. Mm-hmm. And so you stay on target a lot easier.
Yeah. And then there's a bunch of other little tiny features in it, like it tapers into the back and falls into the pistol grip. It's not quite as boxy as the OEM one, so it just fits your hand a little bit better.
And now the T-rail is a separate part.
T-rail is a separate part, but you don't need the T-rail in order to run a bipod with it. So you can take it off, and there is a Picatinny rail big enough to put whatever bipod you want on there. And then the cool thing about this is it's standard, so you can slip in other like field target oriented hamsters, and they just slide right in, and you don't have to do any machining or put holes on there. It's just ultra clean. And you can fit up to 2 of these rails under there and just put a bunch of stuff underneath it, or you can just keep it simple with the bipod and push it out a little bit further. And then it's secured under there by a couple of set screws.
That's really cool. Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah.
Now, you've got some things coming out and in the works, and that we'll be carrying also that we don't have here. I think in particular, the cheek rest.
Yes.
You've got that in production, or at least really soon, right?
It's in production, and you guys are going to get your hands on them pretty quickly. When you start going out to 200 yards, 300 yards with some slug liners, your MOAs that you're building into the scope starts to get pretty steep, and you have to, raise it up a bit, because or else you're basically shooting with your jaw like this.
And if you're using the no limit rings, they just set higher anyhow.
Exactly.
Even if you're not, even if you don't have them maxed out, they're just higher, so it's still the cheek rest.
Yeah.
It really helps, doesn't it?
It does. And for those lefties out there, there is a left-handed version which sits over the extended mag, and it really makes it a lot more comfortable to shoot, because this is a right-handed person's rifle. So.
But you care about the lefties out there,
I do.
Don't you?
Yes.
And now, if we go back to this stock, you've developed something like that for the AirForce line of guns.
Yes. So basically, it's the same back part here. You get the same monopod and the adjustment on that. It just doesn't have these rods, and it'll just tie into the bottle clamp that it already comes with. And that really kind of rounds off the rifle. That little plate back there is kind of lacking a little bit of
it's just super
comfort.
minimal.
Very minimal, yeah.
And the ergonomics are, on those guns are something you have to get used to, right?
Yeah.
Whereas this really makes it so you can settle in there and get the same kind of comfort you're used to with
Exactly.
Right, with other guns.
Yeah, and those things will be available very soon as well.
Now, you're always coming up with new ideas. What else have you got in the works that you want to tease us with here a little bit?
There is an upper that will be coming out pretty soon. And that's about all I'll say on that. Stay tuned. I think you guys are going to really like it.
Something that MOA incorporates MOA adjustments, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So that's all he's going to say about it.
It's going to be pretty cool. Other things that we have are some single shot loaders. For the first generation only, we have Plenum Covers, which kind of cover up this. This is a Mark II. The Plenum's a little bit thicker and they don't work on it. But Mark II Plenum Covers are coming out as well.
Which just make it cleaner looks.
Cleaner looks, keeps the dust out of there. To me, it's an aesthetic part. It's not. It doesn't have too much function, but it really, if you guys see pictures of it, it just makes the gun feel like you have a stock instead of looking at the barrel. I don't know. I just like how it looks.
Well, Stephen, I really appreciate you coming out here, kind of walking us through these. We're really excited now that we're going to be carrying them. And we really look forward to seeing what you come out with in the future.
Definitely. I'm going to have to stop by again pretty soon.
Look forward to it. Thanks for watching. And if you found this video helpful, make sure you like and subscribe. We'd appreciate that. And stay tuned for the next one.